W5FC.
ARRLNTS net nightly at 6:30 p.m. W5FC. Dallas Races Net, first and third Sunday, 8 p.m., W5FC.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
And does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin tonight's Skynet? This is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. My name's Tom. I'll be your net controls for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign, break, break, very enthusiastically, followed by your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? Please come now. This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me this evening, and stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmission. This weekly net operates on this frequency with a PL tone of 110.9er. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Just go to the club website, which is whiskey5friedchicken.org, w5fc.org right now for the complete list. And remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is approximately 90 minutes long and is structured in a whole bunch of parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, what's up, space exploration and space history, constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, satellite passes, visible satellite passes over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A in 73 round. Depending on how long we run, we may or may not get to every single section. As I mentioned, all amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So we're going to start that process right now. I will take low power short time check-ins. If you are one of those, please come with your call sign, phonetically your name. Let me know where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you're low power or short time.
This is K5FCY.
This is Whiskey 5, Golf, Uniform, Sierra, far northeast Dallas, 4 watts, low power.
Kilo, Golf, 5, Uniform, Foxtrot, Romeo, Jacob, Dallas.
3, the first station, you were extremely light. I think I got a Kilo 5 Foxtrot Yankee Victor, the very first braking station. Would you come again with your full call sign, maybe phonetically so I can pick you up, your name and where you're transmitting from?
This is Kilo 5 Sierra Tango Yankee. Low power from ATV and Grapevine.
All right, I got you that time. I've got Kilo 5 Sierra Tango Yankee, I believe. I didn't get a name, but I've got you low power in Grapevine. I got W5GUS Gus, far northeast Dallas, low power, 4 watts. KG5UFR, that's Chuck in Dallas. I don't know if he's low power or short time, but this question's the same in either way. Any other low power short time, please come now.
Kilo Echo 5 Romeo Lima Romeo Mike South Plano 10 watts.
All right, we picked up one more, KE5RLR. That's Mike in South Plano, low power, 10 watts. Does anybody who is currently checked in have anything they want to bring to the net now? In case you have to leave or your power poops out. Anything you want to bring, please come with your call. All right, hearing none, let's get this party started. I'll take general check-ins now. Please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from.
November 5, Bravo Bravo, Bill in Irving. November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in Dallas. Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill from French.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brendan DeSoto. This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Quinlan.
Is it? Kilo Golf 5 Alpha Papa Lima, Patrick in Dallas.
Okay, if we'll get those checked in, I've got N5BB, Bill in Irving, NT5TM, Tony in Dallas, K5ZBL, Mr. Bill, Farmers Branch, WB5OZL, Miss Brenda DeSoto, K5KTX, Miss Kelly in Quinlan, KG5APL, Patrick in Dallas. Any additional on-air check-ins, please come to your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. This is Skynet.
Whiskey 5, Whiskey Lima Papa, Wilson from North Keller.
Kilo Golf 5 Uniform Kilo Uniform David Mesquite.
Kilo Golf 5 Juliet Papa November Mark in Oak Cliff.
Kilo Delta 5 Alpha Yankee Juliet Michael, Southwest Dallas.
Four more. I got W5WLP Wilson in North Keller. I got KG5UKU David Mesquite. KG5JPN Mark in Oak Cliff. KD58X. I think it's a Yankee. Alpha Yankee Juliet Michael in Southwest Dallas. Did I get it right, Michael, or did I mess up your call?
You got it right the second time. It's Alpha Yankee Juliet.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't quite finish my Y off when I was writing it out. Oh well, I've got you. Kilo Delta 5, Alpha Yankee Juliet. Additional check-ins. Please come now with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carrollton.
Okay, we picked up one more, K5WVL, that's James in Carrollton. I'll go over to Echolink. If you're over on Echolink and would like to join the net this evening, please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from by voice, or if you don't have that, just go ahead and let me know you're out there and I will recognize you on this round. Echolink only, I'll give you extra time.
Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J near Weber.
Kilo Golf 5 Zulu Charlie Tango, David in Frisco.
Juliet Delta Whiskey John in Norman, Oklahoma.
Okay, we picked up 3 on Echolink. I got KG5VZW, that's Jay near Weatherford. I've got KG5ZCT, that's David in Frisco. Welcome, David. K5JDW, John in Norman, Oklahoma, in his summer home. Got you all checked in. I'll go ahead and open it up to anybody, anywhere, any mode. Please come with your call sign. Phonetically, your name and where you're transmitting from.
This is Kilo India 5 Golf Romeo Hotel, Melissa, Northeast Dallas.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony in East Dallas.
K5 KTX.
Okay, I have, well, Kelly, I got you checked in position 10, K5KTX, so I've got you. KI5GRH, Melissa in Northeast Dallas, NT5TM, Tony in East Dallas. All right, anyone else before we get started? Please come out.
November 5 Oscar Foxtrot, Clay over on Echolink in Mesquite.
Okay, we picked up one more, Clay, N5OF over in Mesquite. And this is Skynet. I am your net control this evening, KE5ICX. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be of ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. Please come with your call.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
K5 KTX.
All right, we got 2, NT5TM, Tony, go ahead and give your announcements, and then if you would hand it to Kelly, K5KTX. Tony, and that's yours. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Tom, and thank you for your support and feedback. I've been asking for suggestions for the 5th Monday Surprise Net coming up, and it's now past the deadline. If you have a suggestion for a surprise net, your suggestion will be used for a future net, because I have a new plan for this Monday's net. We'll be going with Plan B. Plan B. There will be no math. You will not be asked to remember anything or answer difficult quiz questions, but I sure might want to hear your tips and anecdotes, perhaps a little bit of family history or even what you've seen out in your garden this spring. So our 5th Monday Surprise Net will be easy and fun, and right here on this repeater at 7 p.m., and we're going with Plan B. This is November Tango 5 Tango Mike, passing it over to Kelly, K5KTX.
Thank you, Tony. This is K5KTX. Good evening to everyone. I did want to bring a pretty neat event that's coming up very soon. As some of you may know, the Texas Star Party, which is normally held in West Texas, was canceled again this year due to COVID, and they have decided they're going to put on a virtual Texas Star Party, and it's coming up pretty quickly. It's going to be on the evenings of Thursday, June the 10th, through Saturday, June the 12th. And I believe it's a free event. You just need to go to the texasstarparty.org website, and there will be some links there that will take you to the virtual sessions. And the live sessions, it looks like it's going to be hosted on several different websites, some YouTube channels and Facebook, and so all the links will be there so that you can click on them. But on Thursday, June the 10th, there will be a welcome session. The first speaker will be Larry Mitchell, who, if you've ever been to the Texas Star Party, you'll immediately know who Larry Mitchell is. He is the person that comes up with the advanced observing programs during the Texas Star Party. And so he will be giving a talk. And then at around 8:45 or near 9 o'clock, the Fort Bend Astronomy Club is going to do a live virtual observing session from their George Observatory down, I think that's on the west side of Houston. And so it's a very observatory, and so they'll be doing some live observing until about 11:30 p.m. Then on Friday, June the 11th, they're going to have a couple of very exciting speakers. Around 7 o'clock will be Stephen J. O'Meara, who is a very well-known astronomy author and also contributes to Astronomy magazine. And he'll be doing a presentation on the night skies of Botswana. And then the second speaker will be Dr. Carl Gebhardt, who is a professor of astronomy at UT Austin. And he will be talking about dark energy, characterizing dark energy with the Hobby Eberly telescope, which is at the McDonald Observatory. And then on Saturday, June the 12th, the first speaker will be the famous comet hunter and author David Levy, and he'll be talking, his talk is A Night Watchman's Journey, The Road Not Taken. And then the second speaker will be Stephen Hummel, who is a dark sky specialist at McDonald Observatory, and he'll be talking about the formation of the Big Bend Area International Dark Sky Association Dark Skies Reserve. And in between the speakers, there will be trivia contests and door prize drawings, and looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So again, this is on June the 10th through the 12th, and just go to texasstarparty.org, and you can get all of the information there. And that's all I've got. This is K5KTX.
Well, thank you, Miss Kelly, and it looks like it could be interesting, something that we could all participate in. I tried going to the website. It's slow or sluggish or something. I did go to the Facebook page, Texas Star Party, and they do have the same listings there. You might want to try it later in the evening and see if you can get in. It just wouldn't respond for me, but it is there. Okay, let's see. Anyone else with any announcements? Please come now. let's go through our usual announcements then. For those of you who may not know, don't forget that there's AMSAT has several nets here in the Dallas area. In fact, there's 3 of them that I'm aware of. One of them is the Houston AMSAT net. That's on every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. It originates out of Houston, Texas. They do have a stream there, so, you know, the home of NASA and all that, they do a very good net. Don't forget also, we do have Dallas AMSAT East Tuesday night also at 8 p.m. here on this repeater. It's a dueling nets, I guess, starting at 8 o'clock. This net, unlike the Houston net is just an information sharing net. There's really no participation. You can check in, but they just acknowledge you. Tom, N5HYP, on the other hand, will answer your questions about amateur satellite and use. He's been in this for decades, I think, and he knows all about it. He'll help you, give you the latest information on the types of satellites and modes that you can operate, different techniques. He knows just about everything you can imagine. If you miss him on Tuesday evening, you can go to the West Net. He does it repeat at 9 p.m. on Wednesday nights on the Arlington repeater. That's 147.140 megahertz with a tail tone of 110 decibel niner. That one is a positive offset, so you have to adjust your radio accordingly. And he'll do the same thing. In fact, you might even want to check in on Tuesday night, ask him a question, try it, and then get back with him on Wednesday night and tell him how it all worked out. Now, we do have DARC-hosted nets. In fact, I've got a program board up. There are a lot of them. We have Mondays with alternating nets. The first week is Ham Fixin's net. We talk about cooking and cooking techniques. That's at 7 p.m. The second week is MCOM 101. That's hosted by N5KRG. That's Kevin. It's a non-denominational emergency communications net. It tells you about, explains how procedures are used in emergency communications. You don't have to be a member of any organization. In fact, you may be able to pick one if you really want to get involved. He can help you with that process. The third week is a second helping of Ham Fixin's net. More cooking recipes. Fourth week is GeekNet, which is we open it up and talk above and beyond just amateur radio, though that is pretty much the bulk of the net, but it isn't all of the net. And then the fifth week, as you heard, we have a surprise net, and that one is going to be very interesting, I think. I think I know what the topic will be. If I told you what it was, it wouldn't be a surprise. On-air participation is always encouraged. On Fridays, we have the CERT City simulation at 7:30 p.m. Your net control is Melissa, KF5GRH, and she hosts a net about CERT-trained amateur radio operators and emergency radio communications. And they do simulations with CERT City, the most disaster-prone city in the universe, every Friday night. That one is at 7:30. Saturdays is TechNet 7 to 8, which we just concluded here about an hour ago. Of course, Skynet, which is on right now. We have on the first and third Sundays, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air, or MODA. And then we have the daily lunch net. That's at 12 noon, Monday through Friday. They're going to take a day off tomorrow for the holidays. For Monday, so they won't be on then. But I'm sure the regulars will be hanging out. You can probably still talk to them. There's always a survey question. So eat lunch with us. ARRL net is every day, 7 days a week on this repeater. It's a training net. Every night at 6:30 p.m. If you're interested in formalized traffic handling or want to participate in a net and not worry about if you mess up because it's a training net, it's okay. Now we also have tonight, after this net at 10:30, is the Afterglow movie net. So I have the description for tonight's net. Liam woke up from the car crash, happy he was alive. His cologne, however, didn't fare too well. A passing cop stops and asks if he's okay, but before Liam could respond, the cop takes a whiff of the broken bottle of scent and expires. This is going to be a difficult day. He hiked the path and found a woman by the side of the road. She, too, had a smashed bottle of cheap cologne and saw a small squirrel curled up in a ball, its tail trying to repel the foul odor. Once together, the two offensive odors seem to cancel each other. This was when Chanel meets Brute moment. Join us for Radius from 2017, our next Afterglow movie, tonight at 10:30 p.m. It's a little different than what I described, but people dying, yeah, that happens all through the movie. And kind of a milky eye thing going on, too. It's a bit of an unusual film. So you still have a few minutes you can still watch. I think it's 90 minutes long. You can keep up with all the DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, whiskey5friedchicken.org, w5fc.org. Okay, I'll go ahead and ask, does anybody from this is usually something Chaz would do. He couldn't make it tonight, so I'm substituting for him tonight. So, but I will ask, does anybody want to talk about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas? Please come with your call.
K5, KTX.
Thank you, Miss Kelly. Go ahead, the net's yours.
All right, good evening again, everyone. This is K5KTX, and the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas is one of your local resources for all things astronomy and space. And we had our May meeting last night, Friday, May the 28th. It was a virtual meeting, as they have been for the last over a year, I guess. But one of the things that was discussed, and very excited to kind of start announcing this, is that we are working on a reopening plan in terms of our weekly star parties and for our monthly meetings. And so we're working on a phase 1 that will start right now. And then in phase 2 in June, they are going to actually do a dry run of one of our 4 weekly star parties. And they're going to try to not publicize it too much, so I'm not really going to announce which one it is. They want to keep the numbers kind of small and just, see how it goes. And then depending on how it goes, they will take some of those lessons learned and will start rolling out the other weekly star parties. So more information will be coming about this, and I know everybody's very excited to get these star parties back going. But previous to COVID, we did have a star party. The first Saturday was in Garland, and the second Saturday was in Frisco. Third Saturday is Cedar Hill, and fourth Saturday is in Rockwall. So just stay here, and we will announce that as we get those going live, hopefully sometime a little bit later in the summer. In terms of our monthly meetings, we do have one every month on the 4th Friday of the month, except for November, which is usually the 3rd Friday, and we don't have a meeting in December. And previous to COVID, those were held at the University of Texas at Dallas campus in Richardson, but we've been having them via Zoom just for members only since the lockdown started. But we are just waiting to get word from UTD where they will allow outside groups to meet on campus, and they're kind of getting the sense that this will happen fairly quickly or soon. So maybe when campus comes back in the fall, then maybe we'll be able to start meeting together again at UTD. Plus, we will continue to offer the Zoom meeting option as well. But anyway, just some updates on what's happening there. But, of course, you can always go to texasastro.org, which is our website, and there's lots of great information there. You'll see a calendar, so when we do start having events again, you'll be able to see all of those listed. And you can get a lot of information about telescopes and, what the different types of telescopes if you're looking to buy one. And so texasastro.org. And I think that's it. This is K5KTX.
Well, thank you, Miss Kelly. I know that, let's see, I forgot to mention that the DARC will have a meeting on Tuesday evening. It will be virtual. We too are looking to get back to the hospital here eventually, and we're still working on the contacts over there. So we're hoping that things will get back to normal. And I have to say, I was out today for a little bit. I ate at my favorite restaurant the first time in 16 months. It was nice. Their menu has changed a little bit, but it was great. And went over to a couple of places, went shopping and all of that. And first time I went shopping without a mask in months and months and months. That was a weird feeling, let me tell you. But we got to do it sooner or later. So if you're fully vaccinated, they say it's okay. I'll let you know. I think everything will be fine. All right, I'm very much looking forward to everybody reopening and we getting back to fun and business. This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet. Let's go to Bill, N5VV. Bill, what do you got for us on National Space Society events and activities from KE5ICX?
Thank you, Tom. This is N5VB. I happen to be the membership director of the National Space Society North Texas chapter. If you have any interest in National Space Society, you can reach me at space@byrom.net. That's SPACE@BYROM.net, or N5BB@ARRL.net. The National Space Society of North Texas chapter eventually will get back to in-person meetings where we meet. We were meeting before the pandemic at the Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving on Highway 183 at Beltline. But during the pandemic, we have been doing virtual meetings, so I'm pretty sure the next meeting will still be virtual. It will be on the second Sunday of June at 4 p.m. If you want to get a guest invitation to listen to it, it's on WebEx for free. Again, you can send me an email at one of the two addresses I mentioned earlier. And we have something space-related. I do not know. It's over 2 weeks before the next meeting, and I do not know the topic yet for our June meeting. We don't have any other in-person activities like we normally have at museums or schools or anything, so it's pretty quiet. Again, there's lots going on in space. A lot of SpaceX tests and launches to the ISS, successful ones, and a test in South Texas, which are getting better and better. And again, SpaceX won the NASA contract for delivery of the next moonshot, and there's a lot going on with their competitors also, and other companies doing things in space. So that's all I've got. This is N5BB.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for that information. Yeah, I know one of the things that's kind of an aside with all our groups starting to potentially meet again in person, we've also kind of had the advantage, too, of being able to do all this stuff virtually. We didn't know how to do Zoom. We didn't know how to do any of that stuff just one short year ago, or maybe a little over a year ago. Now we're all experts at it, and it means that we can extend our audiences to further than just the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is very exciting, and I think that's pretty cool. So we'll just have to see what happens. We've been changed in ways that we never imagined just, a year and a half ago. Okay, let me go and see if there's additional check-ins right now before we go into our topic. Do we have any additional check-ins? Please come to your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from.
This is K5, Kilo 5, Kilo Oscar Bravo, Philip Randall Service. WD5, BPX, 12 Point, Texas.
Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Arlington.
Okay, we picked up 3. I've got K5 KOB, that's Philip and Crandall. He's on voice tonight. I think I got the call as Whiskey Delta 5 Delta Tango X-ray in Wills Point. Can I get your name, please? And please correct the call if I'm wrong. Okay, I bet he'll be back, though. Let's see, I've got Joe, KG5ZMG, over in Arlington. Welcome, Joe. Okay, tonight's topic, I had to come up with something kind of quick, although I didn't check my email last night. I would have known earlier, but I did find out this morning, so I had to come up with something. So this is what I came up with about gravitational waves. No, I am not an expert, nor do I play one on the radio or on television, but I did get this from the Caltech page. They had a website talking about gravitational waves and what they were. So I was kind of interested and thought, well, this could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Why don't I educate myself on what gravitational waves are and then use it as a presentation for this evening? So this is what we have. This is from their website. They state the following. It says, gravitational waves are ripples in space-time caused by some of the most violent and energetic processes in the universe. Albert Einstein predicted the existence of gravitational waves in 1916 in his general theory of relativity. Einstein's mathematics showed that the massive accelerating objects such as neutron stars or black holes orbiting each other would disrupt space-time in such a way that waves of undulating space-time would propagate in all directions away from the source. These cosmic ripples would travel at the speed of light, carrying with them information about their origins, as well as clues to the nature of gravity itself. The strongest gravitational waves are produced by cataclysmic events such as colliding black holes, supernovae, massive stars exploding at the end of their lifetimes, and colliding neutron stars. Other waves are predicted to be caused by the rotation of neutron stars that are not perfect spheres, and obviously even the remnants of gravitational radiation created by the Big Bang. If you're watching the stream, you'll see a video illustrating how gravitational waves are emitted by 2 neutrons as they orbit each other and then coalesce. Note that the gravitational waves themselves are invisible. They are made visible here to illustrate their propagation away from the source. Though Einstein predicted the existence of gravitational waves in 1916, the first proof of their existence didn't arrive until 1974, 20 years after his death. In that year, 2 astronomers using the Arecibo Radio Observatory in Puerto Rico discovered a binary pulsar, exactly the type of system that general relativity predicted would generate gravitational waves. Knowing that this discovery, hold on a sec, I lost my place, could be used to test Einstein's audacious prediction, astronomers began measuring how the star's orbits changed over time. After 8 years of observations, they determined that the stars were getting closer to each other, each at precisely a rate predicted by general relativity, if they were emitting gravitational waves. So let's look a little deeper. Since then, many astronomers have studied pulsar emissions. Pulsars are neutron stars that emit beams of radio waves and found similar effects, further confirming the existence of gravitational waves. But these confirmations have always come indirectly or mathematically and not through direct contact. All of this changed on September 14, 2015, when LIGO, L-I-G-O, physically sensed the undulations in space-time caused by gravitational waves generated by 2 colliding black holes 1.3 billion light-years away. LIGO's discovery will go down in history as one of humanity's greatest scientific achievements. While the processes that generate gravitational waves can be extremely violent and destructive, by the time the waves reach Earth, they are thousands of billions of times smaller. In fact, by the time gravitational waves from LIGO's first detections reached us, the amount of space-time wobbling they generated was 1,000 times smaller than the nucleus of an atom. Such inconceivably small measurements are what LIGO was designed to make. To learn how LIGO achieves this seemingly impossible task, let's visit LIGO's interferometer. So why detect them? Well, historically, scientists have relied almost exclusively on electromagnetic, or EM, radiation, visible light, X-rays, radio waves, microwaves, and so on. To study the universe, some are trying to use subatomic particles called neutrinos as well. Each of these messengers of information provides scientists with a different but complementary view, of the universe. Gravitational waves, however, are completely unrelated to EM radiation. They're as distinct from light as hearing is from vision. Imagine humans who were a species that only had eyes and no ears. You can learn a lot about the world around you by simply studying the light from objects. Then one day, someone invents something they call an ear. This device senses vibrations in air or water, and you could not have known it had existed before. This ear opens up an entirely new realm of observation that you didn't have access to simply by studying electromagnetic radiation. As an antenna is able to detect vibrations in the medium of space-time, LIGO is akin to the human ear, able to detect vibrations in a medium like air or water. This is the way in which LIGO has opened up a new window on the universe. Things like colliding black holes are utterly invisible to EM astronomers. To LIGO, such events are beacons in the vast cosmic sea. More importantly, since gravitational waves interact very weakly with matter, unlike EM radiation, which can be absorbed, reflected, or refracted, or bent, they travel through the universe virtually unimpeded, giving us a clear view of the gravitational wave universe. The waves carry information about their origins that is free of the distortions or alterations suffered by EM radiation as it traverses intergalactic space. The gravitational waves that LIGO detects are caused by some of the most energetic events in the universe: colliding black holes, merging neutron stars, exploding stars, and possibly even the birth of the universe itself. Detecting and analyzing the information carried by gravitational waves is allowing us to observe the universe in a way never before possible, providing astronomers and other scientists with their first glimpses of literally unseeable wonders. LIGO has removed a veil of mystery on the universe, and in so doing, has ushered in an exciting new research in physics, astronomy, and astrophysics. Now, this is a fairly long article. I'm going to go ahead and continue it for my segment in 2 weeks, part 2, which will be about gravity waves. So if you want to get a head start on it, you can certainly go to the webpage, which is, if I can find it again, LIGO. It's www.ligo.caltech.edu. And then it says /page/what are GW. I think if you just type in gravitational waves and Caltech in your favorite search engine, you'll probably find the article. And it's nicely presented, too. You'll see a lot of photographs, drawings, charts, you name it, and it's done in a layman's term that you don't get lost in it, which I think is pretty cool. Does anyone have any questions or want to provide any additional information? Please come out with your call. All right, with Chaz out, I get to do the next segment, too. So he would have had to have done it, so lucky dog, he didn't have to do it this evening. I was looking, usually what I do is use earthsky.org/tonight, but there wasn't any real information. So I'm not sure if this is legal or not. This actually occurred last night, however, and it's a little too late for you to see it now, but sunset. In late May 2021 presents the closest visible conjunction of the planets Mercury and Venus until November 5th, 2033. No matter where you live worldwide, it's to your advantage to find an unobstructed horizon in the direction of sunset. Watch for the planetary pair low in your western sky as evening dusk is ebbing toward night. Look for Venus, the much brighter planet, to be visible to the eye alone some 30 to 40 minutes, if not sooner, after sunset. Most likely, you'll need an optical aid to view Mercury next to Venus, and even at that, Mercury may be hard to catch because Mercury is exhibiting a thin, waning crescent phase right now, though you'll need a telescope to discern its phase. Mercury appears much dimmer now than at the beginning of the month. In early May, Mercury's disk was over 80% illuminated by sunshine. By the month's end, the illuminated portion will shrink to 10%, making Mercury about 40 times fainter now than in early May. In short, don't be too surprised if you spot Venus with relative ease, but Mercury not at all. Venus ranks as the third brightest celestial body to light up the heavens after the Sun and Moon, respectively. Presently, Venus outshines Mercury by a few hundredfold. Depending on where you live on the Earth's globe, Mercury and Venus will come closest together at dusk on May 28th or 29th, 2021. Both dates, however, will present Mercury and Venus plenty close together on the sky's dome. If the weather cooperates, try both dates. Well, you've got only one now. Run out there now and notice that the slight change of position between the two worlds from one day to the next. At conjunction, Venus will pass a scant 0.4 degrees north of Mercury on May 29th at about 6 o'clock UTC time. For reference, the moon's angular diameter spans about a half a degree. After their conjunction, Venus will continue to climb upward away from the setting sun, but Mercury will sink sunward, eventually to meet up with the setting sun. Venus will remain in the evening sky for the rest of 2021, whereas Mercury will leave the evening sky to enter the morning sky on June 11, 2021. Mercury probably won't be visible to the eye as a morning star until late June or July of 2021. Okay. Mercury and Venus stay out longer after sunset at more northerly latitudes and set sooner after sundown at more southerly latitudes. We give you the approximate settings for time for Venus, the brighter of these two planets, for the next few days at varying latitudes. So let's see here. We're at, 6 degrees north, 40 degrees north latitude. Equator, I guess the 40 degrees. Venus sets at about 1 1/3 hours or 80 minutes after sunset. For more specific information, consult Old Farmer's Almanac if you live in the U.S. or Canada, or timeanddate.com for virtually any place worldwide. So that's a website, timeanddate.com for virtually any place worldwide. By the way, these two worlds, Mercury and Venus, nearly coincide on the same line of sight, but are not truly close together in space. Astronomers often give the distances of solar system planets in terms of the AU, or the Sun-Earth distance of about 93 million miles, or 150 million kilometers. At conjunction, Mercury resides 0.63 AU from Earth, whereas Venus lodges 1 astronomical unit beyond Mercury at 1.63. So the bottom line is, late May 2021 showcases the closest coupling of Mercury and Venus for years to come. Brilliant Venus boldly punctuates the evening twilight, but demure Mercury lurks at the threshold of visibility. You may well need binoculars for any chance of spotting Mercury, the innermost planet of the solar system. And he says, good luck. All right, that ends those two segments. Let me go ahead and ask for any additional check-ins, or if you got questions, please come with your call sign. Okay, it's quiet out there. Let's go to space exploration news and space history. So that would be Brenda this evening, WB5OZL. You're up from KE5I6.
Thank you. This is WB50ZL. In news this week, been a lot of talk about UFOs. An ex-astronaut has weighed in on footage of mysterious UFO sightings released by the U.S. Navy. In a recent interview, former International Space Station Commander Chris Hadfield claimed that the unidentified phenomenon are not the work of aliens, adding that if you think they are, you're an idiot. It has also confirmed the existence of its secretive UFO investigation unit. Videos show what the Navy calls unexplained aerial phenomena, UAPs, buzzing around aircraft carriers off the U.S. coast. They exhibit no visible engine or infrared exhaust plumes, could reach 30,000 feet and hypersonic speeds, according to the pilots who filmed them. Some experts have suggested that technologically advanced craft created by Russia or China could be behind the phenomena, while others have claimed it could be the work of aliens. According to Hadfield, even if aliens aren't responsible, we might not be alone in the universe. But definitely up to this point, we have found no evidence of life anywhere except Earth, and we're looking, he told CBC. As an aside, I want to remind everybody that Stephen Hawking told us not to talk to aliens. So just be aware of that. Next up, Canada announces plans to land a rover on the moon. Science Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne says Canada plans to land a rover on the moon in the next 5 years. The Canadian Space Agency says the unmanned robotic vehicle will aim to gather imagery and measurements on the moon's cratered surface, showcasing technologies from Canadian companies in a polar region of the Earth's only natural satellite. Conducted in partnership with NASA, the mission hopes to have the rover make it through an entire lunar night, which lasts about 2 weeks and presents major technological challenges due to the extreme cold and dark. Lisa Campbell, president of the Space Agency, says it will put out a request for proposals on design and development from 2 companies in the coming months. Next story, potential organic salt detection from Curiosity yields further evidence for past organics on Mars. While organic compounds have been confirmed on the Martian surface and near-surface areas since 2018, new Earth-based experiments point to a potentially tantalizing series of signatures from Curiosity's sample analysis at Mars, that's SAM, instrument that could indicate the presence of organic salts at the rover's Gale crater location. What's more, the new research from a team led by JMT Lewis, an organic geochemist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, points to further potential evidence that organic salts might be prevalent across the Martian terrain. The hard part is conclusively detecting them. For decades, scientists theorized that organic compounds are almost certainly to have been preserved to some detectable degree in the Martian surface environment. In 2018, Curiosity's instruments allowed Eigenbrode et al. To conclusively prove they were in fact there. In turn, if organic compounds were present at one time, their byproducts, organic salts, would still be around as well, even given the harsh radiation environment of Mars compared to Earth. While organic compounds and organic salts can form from the presence of microbial life, they can also form from geologic processes. Though not confirmed, organic salts would be further evidence that organic matter once existed on Mars' surface, and if they are still present, could support hypothetical microbial life on Mars today, as some life on Earth uses organic salt as food or energy. And we have birth. May 26, 1951, is Sally Ride. She flew on STS-7 and STS-41G. May 30th, 1958, Michael Lopez Alegria. He was on STS-73, STS-92, STS-113, Soyuz TMA-9, Expedition 14, and SpaceX AX-1. May 25th, 1965, John D. Olivas or Olivas, not sure. He flew on STS-117 and STS-128. May 28th, 1944, Paul Scully Power. He flew on STS-41G. That's one that Sally Ride was on. May 24th, 1951, Ronald Parisi, STS-35 and STS. Then Nathan J. Lindsay on May 24th, 1936, no flights. Then we have Frank Drake. The most important ones where he was known for SETI and for the Drake equation, which estimates the number of active alien civilizations. All right, this week in space history, 55 years ago, the first Saturn V rocket rolls out to the launch pad. On May 25th, 1966, the first Saturn V moon rocket rolled out to its seaside launch pad at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, exactly 5 years to the day after President John F. Kennedy committed the nation to a moon landing before the end of the decade. While only a test rocket and not designed to fly into space, rollout of the Saturn 500F facility verification vehicle marked a significant milestone on the way to landing humans on the moon a little more than 3 years later. The stacking of the rocket and Apollo spacecraft, roll out to the launch pad, verification of interfaces between the rocket and the pad, and rollback provided ground crews the needed experience for future Apollo Saturn missions to the moon. And in reference to that speech, May 25th, 1961, 60 years ago, President Kennedy proposed his moon landing goal and speech to Congress. He delivered a speech to a joint session of Congress formally titled Special Message to Congress on Urgent National Needs. The 46-minute speech mainly involved in a historical context of the Cold War with the Soviet Union, discussions of ways to beat the Soviets in a variety of fields, and proposals to win the hearts and minds of people around the world to the advantages of the American system of government. But what the speech is most remembered for came near the end of the address when Kennedy discussed the race in space between the two superpowers. With the Soviet Union ahead by launching the first Earth-orbiting satellite and putting the first man into orbit, Kennedy's bold initiative, resting on the success of astronaut Alan B. Shepard's 15-minute suborbital spaceflight less than 3 weeks earlier, would put the United States undisputedly in the lead. After requesting that Congress expand funding of space activities even beyond the increases he had sought earlier, he proclaimed, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth." No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish. Kennedy went on to specify several items for which he sought additional funding from the Congress to help achieve this and other goals in space. By setting such a lofty goal and requesting the needed funding, he committed the nation's will and its resources to a decade-long pursuit of what at the time seemed to many to be an impossible goal. His speech set in motion a process that at one time employed 400,000 Americans to achieve the goal on July 20th, 1969, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. Later that year, He did the most famous speech at Rice University, his We Choose to Go speech, which is the one everybody remembers. But this one started it all, and boy, do we owe him a debt of gratitude. All right, that's all I got. Back to net, WB50ZL.
Thank you, Miss Brenda. Don't go too far away. You'll be back on in a few minutes. Looks like it's our show tonight. Let's see. Normally we'd have Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Chaz is not here, so we're going to skip it for this week. Maybe he'll double up next week. Who knows? Let's see here. Next up is space launches for this week. You may have noticed or heard about this morning, Long March 7 launch of the Tianzhou 2 resupply ship to dock with the Chinese space station. This was launched at Wenchang, China. The automated cargo craft will be the first resupply freighter for the Chinese space station. And I believe it is currently in orbit headed towards the station. We also have on, well, it's to be determined, there's a launch from Xicheng, China. This is a different site. Long March 3B rocket will launch the Fenyun 4B geostationary weather satellite, the second in a new generation of Chinese meteorological observatories. On June 3rd, there will be a Falcon 9 launch, this from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket will launch a Dragon 2 spacecraft on its second cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station. The flight is the 22nd mission by SpaceX, conducted under the Commercial Resupply Services contract with NASA. On June 10th, we have another Chinese launch, this from another launch site, Junklan, China. This will be a Long March 2F rocket. Will launch from the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft with multiple Chinese astronauts to rendezvous and dock with the Chinese space station in low Earth orbit. This will be China's 7th crewed space mission and the first to the Chinese space station. In June, to be determined, we don't know yet, Falcon 9 has a launch. Will launch the SXM-8 satellite for Sirius XM. The satellite will replenish Sirius XM's fleet, providing satellite radio programming to consumers across North America. SXM-8 was built by Maxar Technologies and features a large unfurlable S-band reflector to broadcast radio signals to users on the ground. On June 15th, there's a launch they don't give an actual time, it's to be determined. This will be from Pad 0B at Wallops Island, Virginia. A U.S. Air Force and Northrop Grumman Minotaur 1 rocket will launch a classified spy satellite cargo for the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office. And not surprisingly, no other information. There's GSAT-1. This one would be launched from Sriharikota, India, at the Satish Dhawan Space Center. It is India's geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle MK2, designated GSLV-F10, will launch India's first GEO imaging satellite, or GSAT-1. GSAT-1 spacecraft will provide continuous remote sensing observations over the Indian subcontinent from geostationary orbit more than 22,000 miles above the Earth. This is delayed from January 15th. In fact, it's been delayed several times. I've been talking about this thing, and they can't seem to get it off the ground quite yet. So, fairly complex. I think this is about the 5th or 6th time I've read this, and we still don't have a launch. But I'm sure we will eventually. This is KE5ICX. I'll go ahead and ask any additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us, please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. Getting some skip. Can people hear me?
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we were getting somebody out of Arkansas earlier this evening, so I think we're getting a little bit of skip. Okay, as long as you can hear me, that's the important part. All right, Miss Brenda, you're up on recent astronomical discoveries. When you're ready, please go ahead. This is KE5ICX.
I am ready. How is my signal?
You're fine. You're fine. I say it's just some skip coming in. You clobber them very easily. Go ahead.
Thank you. WB5OZL. Astronomer reveals never-before-seen detail of the center of our galaxy. New image made using NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory hints at previously unknown interstellar energy source at the Milky Way center. New research by University of Massachusetts Amherst astronomer Daniel Wang reveals with unprecedented clarity details of violent phenomena in the center of our galaxy. The images published recently in monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society document an X-ray thread GO.17-0.41, which hints at a previously unknown interstellar mechanism that may govern the energy flow and potentially the evolution of the Milky Way. The galaxy is like an ecosystem, says Wang, a professor at UMass Amherst Astronomy Department, whose findings are a result of more than 2 decades of research. We know the centers of galaxies are where the action is and play an enormous role in their evolution, and yet whatever has happened in the center of our own galaxy is hard to study, despite its relative proximity to Earth, because, as Wang explains, it is obscured by a dense fog of gas and dust. Researchers simply can't see the center, even with an instrument as powerful as the famous Hubble Space Telescope. Wang, however, has used a different telescope, NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory, which sees X-rays rather than the rays of visible light that we perceive with our own eyes. These X-rays are capable of penetrating the obscuring fog, and the results are stunning. Wang's findings, which are supported by NASA, give the clearest picture yet of a pair of X-ray emitting plumes that are emerging from the region near the massive black hole lying at the center of our galaxy. Even more intriguing is the discovery of an X-ray thread called GO.17-0.41, located near the southern plume. This thread reveals a new phenomenon, says Wang. This is evidence of an ongoing magnetic field reconnection event. The thread, writes Wang, probably represents only the tip of the reconnection iceberg. A magnetic field reconnection event is what happens when 2 opposing magnetic fields are forced together and combine with one another, releasing an enormous amount of energy. It's a violent process, says Wang, and is known to be responsible for such well-known phenomena as solar flares, which produce space weather powerful enough to disrupt power grids and communication systems here on Earth. They also produce the spectacular northern lights. Scientists now think that magnetic reconnection also occurs in interstellar space and tends to take place at our outer boundaries of the expanding plumes driven out of our galaxy's center. What is the total amount of energy outflow at the center of the galaxy? How is it produced and transported? And how does it regulate the galactic ecosystem? These, says Wang, are the fundamental questions whose answers will help to unlock the history of our galaxy. Though much work remains to be done, Wang's new map points the way. For more information, including additional images and video, visit the Chandra X-ray Observatory's Galactic Center website. This is, that's the end. This is from Science Daily, and I'll send it back to you, Tom. This is WB50ZL.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brenda. And I saw some pictures from the Chandra X-ray Observatory website. That's chandra.harvard.edu, and they have some really impressive, I don't know what you call them, I guess photographs of sorts, imaging that they've done. is very, very cool. Okay, I am KE5ICX. My name's Tom, Net Control for tonight's Skynet. I guess we can move on to the next section, which is visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. The International Space Station has 3 of them that look pretty good. June 1st. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's go back to the original here. Got an error. Hold on just a sec. Sorry, the chart that I bring up there, I'm getting some sort of a Java error. I've reloaded it and I've got it now. We have June 1st has a very good pass. This is minus 3.9 magnitude. This is at 22:21 local time. It reaches its highest point at 77 degrees at 22:24, and then it goes into shadow at 22:24 at 77 degrees. So it's a partial pass, but not a bad one. June 2nd, we have a pass. This one is, there's actually 2, but the best is the minus 2.9 magnitude at 21:33 out of the north-northwest. It reaches highest point at 40 degrees at 21:36, and it'll fall at 21:38 in the east-southeast. If you want to hang around another 90 minutes, let's see here, you can also see a minus 0.8 magnitude at 23:11, reaches its highest point 23:11:55, so that one will come out of shadow. Oh, that's a really low one. That's probably why I didn't put it in the list. June 4th, a minus 3.2 magnitude at 21:35 local time, reaches its highest point at 51 degrees at 21:38, and it'll fall at 21:41 at 19 degrees out of the south-southeast. That's a nice, healthy, full pass across the sky. Definitely the one to look for. We also have the X-37B, the unmanned winged shuttle-like U.S. Space Force vehicle. This one has just one pass that looks interesting. That's on June 6th, 0.6 magnitude at 5:27 a.m. Reach its highest point almost directly overhead at 5:30 at 82 degrees out of the south-southeast, and it'll fall at 5:33 around 10 degrees. So you should be able to see that one as well. You just have to get up early to see it. If you have any additional check-ins, please come now with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. Okay, do we have any questions for tonight, or any comments, or news, or anything you want to bring? We're towards the end of the net. Astronomical Q&A. We have the experts out there. What's your question? Please come with your call sign. Nothing at all. Any final? I'll try one more time. It's your last chance.
W5GUS with a tidbit.
Hey, Gus, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Tom. W5GUS here. Interesting news item from a couple weeks ago now, talking about Elon Musk reveals that he will be launching something that will orbit the moon. And Elon Musk found another way to keep the moonlight shining on himself by announcing this month plans for his space venturing company to launch a lunar satellite next year, paid for entirely by the mimetic cryptocurrency called Dogecoin, I guess. According to a news release by the Geometric Energy Corporation, a firm dedicated to inventing renewable energy technologies. The companies collaborated with SpaceX to launch a 100-pound cube satellite known as DOGE-1, Dodge 1, I guess, as a rideshare on board a Falcon 9 rocket. He also personally made the announcement over his Twitter account a day after his appearance as a guest host of Saturday Night Live. The launch is scheduled to blast off in the first quarter of next year, Musk tweeted. Right? And the interesting part here is the Dodge 1 mission is to the moon, the first ever commercial lunar payload in history, paid entirely with DOGE, will launch aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Geometric did not release the details on how much Dogecoin would spend on the CubeSat, but having officially transacted with Dodge for a deal of this magnitude, Geometric Energy said SpaceX have a solidified Dodge as a unit of account for lunar business in space sector. He said they said the satellite mission is to gather lunar spatial information from sensors and cameras. The energy company stated the mission will demonstrate the application of cryptocurrency for spacefaring missions and set a foundation for interplanetary commerce. Right? Dogecoin was the chosen crypto coin because it's proven to be fast, reliable, and cryptographically secure digital currency that operates when traditional banks cannot and is sophisticated enough to finance a commercial moon mission in full. Geometric stated Dogecoin has been chosen as the unit account for all lunar businesses between SpaceX and Geometric, the energy company stated. It goes on, but that's kind of an interesting thing. Scheduled to launch in next year quarter, first quarter next year. Back to net, W5GUS.
All right, well, very good. Thanks for bringing that, Gus. I appreciate it. I wish I understood cryptocurrency. Somebody's going to have to explain that to me someday. I'm still somewhat confused as to how you generate and use it, much less launch an expensive rocket with it. But it is very interesting. All right. My surprise net person is sending me stuff over the phone here in back channels. Nothing I can tell you. Let's see. Okay, anyone else have anything before I close it out? We're going to end it a little early tonight. Okay, we had 20 participating this evening, including myself. Thanks to all who checked in this evening. Hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the DARC nets, including the one coming up at 10:30. So if you'd like to be a net control for the Afterglow movie net, I'll need one here soonish. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to the club website, one more time, w5fc.org, at the conclusion of this net. Till next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. Tom and I'll be closing the net at 22:17 local time, returning the repeater to normal amateur use. 7-3, everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. And we will be back to talk about the movie Radius from 2017 in about 15 minutes or so at 10:30. So come on back. You don't even have to have seen the movie. I think you'll find the plot rather interesting. We'll see all that. This is KE5ICX. Clear for now.
Sorry, Tom, I wasn't paying attention there. When are we starting up the Afterglow net? This is in 5BB.
Well, since we ended early, we'll start at 10:30, our normal time. How's that?
Okay, that's easy to remember. See you then in 5BB. By the way, for people listening, The Irving Amateur Radio Club 220 repeater is off right now. It's not operating. You may hear announcements on that frequency, but the repeater is not working. And the Echolink node is down. The Echolink node is down because the darn computer keeps crashing. It works, and then it randomly just gives an error message and reboots. And I've been trying to get it fixed, but so far it's very ill. So hopefully sometime in the next few days I'll fix the Echolink computer for the Irving 146.72 repeater. That's what I'm talking about. See you at 10:30 in 5BB.
So we got about 4 minutes before we begin. Does anybody want to be the net control? Please step to the plate. I don't think my voice can hold out. Anybody want to be net control? Come on, I know you're out there. Well, think about it. We still got a few minutes. I'll ask one more time before we kick the net off. KE5I6.
WB5OZL. I'll do it if nobody else will. You've talked enough. I've talked a lot too. It'd be nice if somebody else would step up and give us their wisdom on this fine film, WB5OZL.
Well, I mean, I don't even have a script, but if someone will send me one, I'll take a net in the future, NT5TM.
And I'll be glad to do it, Tom, if nobody else will. I haven't been talking a lot this evening, so I'll be glad to do it. N5BB.
All right, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Tony. And Tony, there's no script. We just do the same thing. We just, first round is the plot. Second is characterization. Third is usually special effects, music, whatever. After that, we usually go about 3 rounds. That's it. And you pick the order you want with whomever checks in. That's it. Maybe a synopsis of the thing, which is usually a wiki listing. That's all there is. Okay, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tony, for volunteering. Yeah, go ahead and take it, Bill. And I'm still talking. I'm going to stop talking now. KE5I6.
Okay, I'll do it when it turns 10:30 in 5BB.
Normal state.
I'm completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow Movie Net.
Okay, this is N5BB, November 5, Bravo, Bravo. I will be your net control for the Afterglow net this evening. The movie we are discussing is Radius, a 2017, I guess it's a science fiction / horror movie. I think most people call it a horror movie, but I don't know. There's some science fiction in it, too. a little hard to define. And Tom, do you want to read your synopsis of the movie in 5BB?
Yeah, if you want. You want my funny one, or you want the real one?
How about let's go with the real one so we don't confuse listeners?
Anybody who watches any of these movies is going to be confused. All right, give me a second here to bring this baby up. Wiki. Radius. Movie.
Well, this movie has such a different plot that it's going to confuse people that haven't seen it.
All right, I found the in-depth analysis right here. Let's see how long this plot is. It's not too bad. All right, you ready?
Continue.
Okay, here's the plot. Man walks bloodied and disoriented from a car crash. He staggers to the road and flags down help from a passing motorist, but the driver dies suddenly after swerving off the road. After calling for help on his cell phone, he realizes he does not know where he is or what his name is. That sounds familiar. Checking his wallet, he learns his name is Liam Hartwell. While heading back into town, Liam stops at a roadside diner where he finds everyone dead. At his house, news reports speculate a virus has been responsible, and in response, he covers his nose and mouth with cloth for protection. When he notices a nearby farmer, he attempts to warn the man to leave the area. The farmer notices Liam and suddenly drops dead. When Liam notices animals also die when he approaches, he realizes he is the cause of the unexpected death, not the virus. A woman who's suffering from amnesia comes looking for Liam at his house, revealing that she was with him during the car accident. He is surprised when she can't approach him without dying, and he agrees to talk to her. Neither knows why they were traveling together, nor the cause of death. Liam does not mention his theory about the deaths, but presses the woman, dubbed Jane Doe, for details about whether anything weird has happened to her. When she says the hospital test showed nothing out of the ordinary, they investigate the site of the crash. They find a charred circle. Liam finally explains his theory. Jane reacts fearfully, insisting that he stay away from her. A passing cop sees their altercation and questions Liam. She drops dead as soon as Jane walks off. Using a goat, Liam proves to Jane that any living creature who approaches him dies unless Jane is within 50 feet or 15 meters. Just, let's try and give all international measurements. Liam at first wants to contact the authorities, but Jane convinces him they will not believe him. Instead, she suggests he be tested at the hospital. Police arrive at the hospital as the door reveals Liam is healthy. Worried the police might attempt to separate them, Liam and Jane flee. Jane pauses at a missing persons board, remembering something about the poster. When she comes to, she sees Liam has already entered an elevator. She races to follow it as closely as possible. Liam urges the occupants to leave as soon as the doors are open, and he tries to isolate himself until Jane can rejoin him. They finally leave the hospital together, relieved nobody has died. News reports reveal Jane's real name to be Rose Darewood. Her husband, Sam, appeals for her to come home. Though cautious, Rose suggests they ask him for help. Sam does not believe their story at first, but Liam once again demonstrates by killing animals who get too close to him. Sam explains that Rose disappeared while searching for her long-lost twin sister, Lily. Rose remembers becoming suicidal and that Liam saved her life. As Liam and Rose grow closer, Sam becomes jealous and warns Rose that she should not even know Liam. This worsens when Liam and Rose insist on fleeing together to Liam's remote cabin without Sam. Sam calls the cops, but regrets doing so, warning them at the last moment. The cops die while separating Liam and Rose, forcing Sam to agree to their original plan. Okay, if you haven't seen the movie, cover your ears. On the way to the cabin, they learn an unexplained cosmic anomaly struck the Earth in a spot where they had their accident. While exploring the cabin, Rose discovers evidence that Liam is a serial killer who abducted and killed Lily. Separately, Liam remembers attempting to abduct and kill Rose at a time of the cosmic anomaly. As Rose confronts Liam, a father and his sons take both Rose and Liam hostage. The father instructs his sons to kill Liam, who he dubs a terrorist. Rose initially protests, but allows them to separate her from Liam. When one of the boys and his father die, the remaining son shoots Rose. Liam's aura kills the remaining son. He takes Rose to the hospital. There, as Rose and Liam are separated, Liam shoots himself in the head. And they all lived happily ever after. Back to net control. Oh, and check me in.
Thank you, Tom. You are checked in. And, yeah, for those listening that haven't seen the movie, it's nearly like there's two plots that are on top of each other. One of them is just a conventional serial killer plot. There's three plots. There's a conventional serial killer plot. There's this weird amnesia plot, and then there's this something coming down from space and people dying plot, and they're all right on top of each other, which is kind of hard to... It's going to make it interesting when we start discussing this. Okay, so let's go with... I forgot to turn on Echolink. While I'm turning on Echolink, let's get RF check-ins. RF check-ins to Afterglow. This is N5BB. Please check in with your call sign and name.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike. Tony in Dallas. Yes, I saw the movie.
November 5, Sierra, Quebec Alpha. Ron, also in Dallas. I don't know what the movie is.
Okay, before we continue, Ron, the movie is Radius from 2017. And did you hear Tom's description?
I heard part of it. I turned on the radio. He was in the middle of it. It sounded very confusing to me, multiple plots and so forth. I just watched one that I can tell you about later. N5SQA.
Okay. Well, you can listen here, but I'm going to write you down as not having listened to the movie. And I'd like to recognize NT5TM Tony and KE5IC Tom. Who else do we have on RF? So I could check into the Afterglow net. The movie is Radius, a 2017 kind of horror movie. And I need your call sign, your name, and whether you saw the movie. Go ahead.
WD5BPX. Have not seen the movie. Name's Bobby.
WB5OZL. Brendan DeSoto. I did see the movie.
Well, it's going pretty slow. WB5, I think it's Delta Charlie X-Ray. You were kind of noisy. Give me your call sign phonetically and your name again. I understand you did not see the movie, but is it DCX? Give it to us again.
That's Whiskey, Delta, 5, Baker, Papa, X. Looks like my broke up there, didn't it? Whiskey, Delta, 5, Baker, Papa, X-Ray. Bobby, Will Point, Texas.
Okay, Bobby, yeah, I recognize you now that I got your call sign correctly. WD5BPX, and you did not see the movie, is that correct?
That is correct. But I'm tempted not to listen and go watch the movie.
If you're going to do that, just turn off the radio. Okay, I got you, Brenda. Do we have any other RF check-ins to the Afterglow movie net? We're going kind of slow here. This is N5BB, net control.
Kilo 1, Golf Bravo Delta. Guy in Lake Highlands tinkering with Arduino parts, and I have not seen the movie, but I couldn't help but check in.
Well, we're going very slow. I'm going to give one more chance for RF check-ins. I recognize K1GB. Oh boy, Guy. Is it Golf Bravo Delta? Is that correct?
Yes, sir, you got it. Delta. K1GBD.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wrote it down wrong. We got you, Guy. You did not see the movie. We'll let you listen. Anyone else like to do this on RF before we go to Echolink? This is N5BB, net control. Okay, at Echolink, I'm going to go down the stations one by one here. AC9KV, Romy, would you like to check in, and did you see the movie? Okay, I'm going to have to assume that Romy is just there from earlier and isn't actually listening. Kevin, N5KRG, good evening. Do you want to check in to the Afterglow net? Nothing from Kevin. J, KG5BZW, do you want to check in to the Afterglow net?
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo, Zulu Whiskey, J, near Weatherford, and I have seen the film.
Very good. I recognize KG5BZW. Good to have you on board, Jay. Mick, KE5WBZ. Where are you located, and did you see the movie? Would you like to check into the Afterglow net? Go ahead, Mick.
This is Kilo Echo 5, Whiskey Bravo Zulu. I did not see the movie. I am in Savannah, Texas, and I will actually just be monitoring to listen. Thanks. KE5WBZ, back to net control.
Okay, Mick. Did you say Savannah, Texas? If so, where is that located? Give me some big city.
It is Savannah, Texas, just east of Crossroads by about 4 miles, about 20 miles west of McKinney. It's an Aubrey proper area.
Okay, west of McKinney, we got you. Okay, you have not seen the movie. Next, K5ANE, Kane. Did you see the movie?
This is K5A&E, transmitting mobile here, and I have not seen the movie. Once again, this is K5A&E. Catch you guys later.
Okay. I recognize K5A&E. So, do we have anybody else that would like to check into the Afterglow net? Currently, we have 5 people that have seen the movie. Myself, K5ICX, NT5TM, WB5OZL, and KG5BZW. Does anybody else want to check into the net? This is via any mode. Again, the movie is Radius from 2017. This is N5BB. I'm going to go through the stations here that have seen the movie, and then we'll see if anybody else wants to comment. So I'm going to start with Tony. Tony, you saw the movie. What did you think about the plot of Radius? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
Well, a few questions and head scratchers, but mostly good things. You know, on a bomb to 4-star scale, it just kind of scraped by with a 3. This movie gets a B from me. It gets a little draggy in the first act. It's clearly sustained by the very common movie trope of the protagonist being a bad communicator. I should say something like, no, I'm dangerously radioactive, don't come near me, I'm sick, I have the plague. And instead he just says things like, no! Movie characters are often really, really bad at saying things. I really often wish they would check into the nets we have here. They could learn to explain things fast from you. They could learn to explain things, thoroughly from you. They could learn to explain things really fast from Aaron, K8AMH. At any rate, we have lots of communication styles on our nets, but we all say things, and movie characters just don't. So that was frustrating. I get annoyed at how movies plots try to build tension by making people be bad communicators when I hang out with people who are smart and good communicators all the time. But, you know, as it gets going, it gets interesting and complicated, but when you're watching the movie, the complications follow naturally, and you can follow them. They're never too fast, and it's held up by the fact that, you know, this is technically the second round, but each character is distinct. You never confuse one character for the other, and that really does support the plot. So it's slow to get going, but then turns out to be interesting and engaging, and kept my interest. So I thought it was a good job. NT5TM.
Very good, Tony. Good comments. Brenda, WB50ZL, what did you think about the plot? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
This is WB50ZL. Generally, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it flowed pretty well. It was interesting, and you got engaged. But there were some things that kind of bothered me. It was just inconsistent. I agree with Tony's points about they didn't communicate. You just yell, no, go away, without explaining the gravity of the situation, which, you know, might have saved some lives. But here's this guy who's a very sympathetic character. He's kind, and he doesn't want to kill people, but in, you know, his day job is he's a serial killer. It's like, how do you make that work? That he has a black heart, but here he is being portrayed as a nice guy. So that was a little troubling to me. They never explain anything, you know, some force field. Okay, but why did it turn them into opposites, polar opposites? And, you know, how is it that his presence is killing people? They never explain that. Or how she stops him from killing people. They don't explain that. And, you know, even when you know what he is, you still kind of root for him because you want him to get away. But there's just a lot of disturbing aspects to this movie. Still, yeah, it was pretty engaging, I thought. Back to that, WB50ZL.
Very good, Brenda. Now let's go to Tom, KE5ACX. What did you think about the plot, Tom?
Hey, Bill and everybody. Thanks for doing the net this evening, by the way. I actually had to go back and read the synopses because I think I fell asleep during the last part of the movie, which is never a good sign for me. This starts out really engaging. It has kind of the structure of a Twilight Zone, of sorts, but we know Twilight Zone's only 30 minutes, sometimes 60 minutes long, and you expect development, you expect some things to happen with the characters, and I just didn't quite feel very close to the characters to the point I fell asleep. So the other thing that kind of bothers me, although Twilight Zone episodes don't always explain everything either, is that, you know, how does this occur? What is this thing that brings them together? It would have been kind of nice to know. It was somewhat inconsistent too, having to do with, I think it was out on the water or something. Why didn't all the fish float to the top of the lake? The interesting part, and I guess this kind of falls into what we did with the Minority Report, what was it, last weekend? Where we talked about, you know, if everything is predetermined, then, you know, what was I going to say? If it's predetermined and you're already guilty, what's the point of anything, right? Until you find out that you're given enough information to find out that you can change the way you do something, then you can, and the whole subject then falls into doubt. In this case, if he suffers amnesia of some sort and his overall pattern changes, how is that possible? It's sort of the reverse. It's an accidental rather than a deliberate choice, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think, you know, when you think about people with mental health issues, I would think being a serial killer would probably fall into that category, that the mental health just doesn't disappear. It continues, and there's something that occurs. If it doesn't, if it's a part of this mysterious force, what else does the force do? Well, if it were a Twilight Zone episode, I think they would have taken it to a much greater, better, more interesting conclusion. Maybe Richard Matheson could have taken it and made something more interesting out of it. I don't know. It just didn't have quite the edge, purpose, meaning, and then, of course, the ending. I just had a feeling. Let me reset. When I started watching the film, I was thinking, oh my God, the setup is going to be really difficult to write yourself out of. You're going to be forced into a corner. And I said out loud, I thought, you know what, this thing's going to have a corny ending if I can stay awake. And I didn't, so I had to read about it, and it's still a corny ending of sorts. He goes and he kills himself. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean the thing's going to stop. We don't know what's causing it. We don't know if it's him personality-wise. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. None of this is explained. I don't know. This one was, I'm a little more critical of it, mainly because it couldn't keep me entertained to the bitter end. But, you know, sometimes that happens. I guess that's all I'll say on this round. KE5ICX.
Well, thank you, Tom. Next, let's go with Jay, KG5DZW. Jay, what did you think about the plot of Radius? This is N5BB, AfterglowNet.
KG5BZW. And yeah, I kind of was, that was the, I almost feel like I have to say what Tom said again, because yeah, the whole setup was, well, okay, we've got so much time left, how are we going to get out of it? And it was like, I knew something weird was probably going to happen, so, granted, I don't know if I would have looked at how much time was left if it hadn't been for the commercials. If I'd gone with go ahead and pay them for it and, you know, doing whatever, I actually had to, watching that movie with commercials is a little bit different than watching a movie without it. It kind of interrupts the flow, and sometimes it's like, I got hungry in the middle, and it's like, okay. But anyway, yeah, I'm getting all tangent here. Yeah, I hated, the ending could have been, I honestly think it should have been something else, especially because of the last, like, Okay, he shoots himself and he dies. Right. It's like, what aspect of this thing that kills people is related to him being alive? That was the biggest letdown of this movie, honestly. It's just him conclude that, him being alive, killing himself will save everybody else. Well, we don't know. The next scene could have been everybody in that, radius was dead, and like, oh, what the hell, and blah, 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 and just, But anyway, really, and this is why I show started with, actually, hold on, let me reset. This is, Twilight Zone-esque. The whole point of the film, really, in my view, is the kind of absurd thing, concept. It's hard to describe simply in terms of what, how this could actually work in nature, and that's the whole absurdity of that is kind of what drives the whole movie. So it's like the whole movie revolves around it. So yes, I mean, how do you explain to someone in real life, oh, if you get within 15 meters of me, you will die? That just does not happen. Yes, there's some things that there's radioactivity, there's stuff like that. It's not, but even, radioactive stuff, besides being actually burned in an atomic bomb, nobody really dies instantly. It might be minutes, but it's not instant like in this film. I kind of disagree that a good communicator could have saved the, part of it was, the guy in the back communicator. I don't know how well you could communicate this to someone, to where they'd actually believe it. So, yeah, even he could have said radioactive or something, whatever, stay back. But people would still come anyway, because I honestly believe that that's just not something that happens, and that's the whole point of the movie. Like, this is not something that happens, but it's just absurd situation that's forced onto you. So, I mean, I liked that bit. I liked how it went. I did not like what I'm going to call the four-pack where it was a serial killer and all that. But, I mean, it was an okay film. So, and I like all the comments I've heard previously. So, I'll leave that at that. KQ5BGW.
Thank you, Jay. Before I give my comments, do any of the other people that are listening that did not see the movie, that's everybody else remaining, do any of you want to give any comments? Or do we have any late check-ins? So any other comments at all about the plot from anybody? This is in 5BB. Afterglow Net, we're talking about Radius, a 2017 movie. Okay. I didn't think any of the people that hadn't seen it would want to comment because this movie is so unusual plot-wise. So I'll talk about the plot now. I'm the last one that saw it. This is, I think, mostly classified as a horror/science fiction film. And the science fiction, or I guess it could be supernatural or something aspect of it, is the big bolt that comes in from outer space that makes that perfect circle. But you notice it's not charred. So they're looking at things, they're all black, but it appears it's not burned normally. Something else happens to it. but it causes... So the problem I have with this, the thing which makes me wonder about the motivation for the plot, was this supposed to be a big morality tale? And the fact that this thing from somewhere came in and it interjected itself into this serial killer that was taking some other young woman away to be killed again. It didn't go anywhere else. It didn't hit anywhere else on the earth. It didn't affect anybody else. And the fact that the person that was the serial killer was the person that, after this effect, was killing other people unless this other woman was nearby. It seems like there's some kind of twisted morality involved with this. You know, it's not just something scientific or unusual. There's some morality thing to it. Why him? Why her? You know, it has to do with what happened before. Why did they get amnesia? Well, maybe, was it to stop him from immediately killing her? Was it to give them a chance to get together and meet each other and become friendly? Who knows? But it seemed like there's something of that in some morality thing they injected in there. So I got that as one plot element, this morality thing. And the fact that after this cosmic event, he then was abhorrent to death. He was really bothered by all these people dying when they're near him. So maybe that was the penalty. Maybe some cosmic force was penalizing him for what he did before, because now he had to see these other people killing just because they were near him, and he had to have this victim near him to prevent that from happening. So the movie didn't explain it, though. They threw that plot thing in there, that morality part of it, but didn't explain it. Like, are we supposed to think that this was some omniscient, godlike, or other civilization looking down at us and making a morality decision in doing this? Who knows? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net. And then you've got this other plot thing that's just this effect he has on other people. That's a purely kind of horror effect or science fiction. And they immediately go limp and their eyes kind of go gray or something. There's a change to their eyes. They put that in the movie on purpose, I think, to show that it wasn't some simple thing like a poison gas or something, that it was some very unusual effect that affected them. And unfortunately, we didn't hear the results of any autopsies that I remember on the radio broadcast in here that explained what happened to these people. Did their heart stop? What happened to them? And then you have this other plot that's kind of his friendship with this woman. Her husband admitted that they had arguments, and she was very disturbed about her twin sister being, disappearing, and she was wanting to commit suicide. So the really odd thing is, it seems like they laid these, you think about a big blackboard, and they were laying out these plot elements. They laid out these several plot elements, and then they just twisted them all together. So in that sense, it's a very odd movie, because sometimes you get like two of these things twisted together, but this is multiple ones, and they're twisted together in a very odd manner. And like everybody says, there's no explanation of any of this. So I enjoyed the movie as far as watching it, but it's extremely difficult to explain this movie to somebody else, even reading the plot probably doesn't really explain it very well. You have to really watch it. And obviously made an extremely low budget. Anyway, so that's my comments. Now, let's move ahead to characterization. Tony, do you want to talk about the characterization in radius? This is N5BB, Afterglow.net.
Thank you, Bill. I'd really like to thank you for your previous comments. That's kind of why I listened to this stint, because I watched the movie, but then often people think of things I didn't think of. And the finger of judgment aspect, the morality play part of it, was something I had not thought of at all. To me, that was just a sort of a strange randomness, and I hadn't thought of the moral element to it. So thank you very much. I thought that was really neat, and I really enjoyed listening to that. As far as the characters, I thought they contributed positively. Often we get characters who are extremely stock in an Afterglow movie. The general is, got his shirt thoroughly stuffed. The hero is a maverick, so forth and so on. Everyone does their official stock character part. I think that the characters were what helped me get through the first part of this movie, which I did find extremely boring. And then, I got more engaged in it, which is kind of neat because it was the opposite of Tom's trajectory, where he was engaged at first and then got disengaged. So I kind of, if you average this out, we were one very attentive viewer. The characters were frustrating to me, of course, because I dislike poor communications as a trope in movies. But then, by acting, for example, the woman who was kind of the angel there of morality, the sister of the murder victim, she acted out what would have happened if he had just said, "Hey, anyone who comes close to me magically dies." Really? Right. Pull the other leg. It plays "My Country 'Tis of Thee." So I really felt the characters, although simple, we're not getting a lot of backstory, we're not getting a lot of hopes and aspirations, were realistic. People thrust into this weird random emergency might have acted like any of these people. The police officers trying very simply what they think, how can I not bring in a suspect I can see right there who's unarmed and compliant? I mean, what the heck? He's just sitting there and doing what I tell him. Surely I can arrest him. And disbelieving where disbelief was reasonable, and then confusion and mistrust where that made sense, and shock and horror where that made sense. I really thought that, again, although not especially deep or complicated, people were natural. And I liked that, and it kept me watching. I like those natural, ordinary people, even in an extraordinary situation. NT5TM.
Okay, thank you, Tony. So, Brenda, would you like to talk about characterization? This is N5BB, Afterglow.net.
This is WB5OZL. This is weird. It's hard to relate to this in terms of characterization because these were not normal people. Main character's a serial killer. How do you relate to that? The actor is a good actor, I'll say that. And, you have a lot of sympathy for him in the beginning because he's hapless and things are out of control. The woman, I thought, she was sort of like wooden. She didn't show a whole range of emotions. And so it was a little harder to relate to her. So when you talk about characterizations, normally you're talking about a normal movie where you can understand the people. These people were hard to understand. So you don't really know how you feel about them. So that's all I have to say about that. WB50ZL.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Let's see, next, let's try Tom, K5ICX. What'd you think about the characterization, Tom? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
Hey, Bill. I think probably, the chemistry between our two principal actors here, and then the third one that was brought in later on, actually was pretty good. It seemed like a natural thing for them to do and to bond, and not knowing exactly what was going on. I thought the acting itself worked out well. The characters were fairly well defined, except the weird ending kind of just threw that into question, I guess, because what would that mean? I'm reading some of the reviews here just to get kind of caught up. They talk about, they mention it as like a Twilight Zone type episode. Rod Serling would mount. And to a certain extent, I think that's true. What do you do with your characters? You know, a love story, sort of, kind of, yeah. Can they trust each other? Sort of, I guess. The dialogue was okay. I guess probably the biggest problem I had is that what more are you going to develop? In the end, and I do remember reading something on this from kind of a humorous version of this thing, is that the one thing you know that's going to happen is if the bad guy, if the good guy, or the bad guy turns out to be a bad guy, and he decides he's going to do good, he's finished. It's over. He's never coming back. He's going to get lost. He's going to die. He's going to kill himself. He's going to do something to end it, because we can't have that bad guy good. It just it won't work. So I don't know. I guess that was a part of it. It kept my interest longer than I expected, I guess, because the characters were engaging. The acting was smooth. Some of the other actors and the way they behave was a bit weird, but that's kind of to be expected. I'll steal some of Tony's comments on that, and this is that sometimes the actors do stupid things. I mean, the characters, I shouldn't say actors, characters do stupid things, can't explain what they're doing or why, and that has a tendency to be the 5551212 in movies, is that nobody would act that way necessarily in a specific situation. Overall, engaging characters, no problem there. But yeah, they create unnecessary fodder and fright for themselves and others. Go to drama school. I don't know. Just say. The characters should go to drama school like the actors did. I don't have much else. I don't know what else to say on this one, because I did fall asleep. KE5ICX.
Okay. So the key characters had amnesia and Tom fell asleep. Interesting plot point, enabling you to reset and start over again without any kind of backstory. Next, Jay, KG5BZW. Jay, what'd you think about the characterization? This is N5BB with the Afterglow Net.
This is KG5BZW. I don't know. I did find the characters engaging. I feel like I'm going to say everything that's already been said. I don't think that I didn't. Yeah, I'm kind of rehashing what's already been said, but I'll go ahead and go into some detail as to characters being stupid for the purpose of drama or whatever. That whole elevator scene, I mean, yes, the start of it seemed fine, but how did it not occur? I mean, granted, they didn't. We don't know the radius here. If was the. Are we talking about one radius? Are we talking about radii? Could there be a shorter radius for the top? Is his death sphere more of a oblate spheroid kind of thing? Admittedly, some of this information may not have been, available to the characters, and so they just randomly do some stupid things. But it just seems smart for the Liam character to just get off at the next level and just let the other character, the neutralizing bad effects character, find him. Since that's just, it's really going to be her kind of taking care of him just to make sure everybody doesn't die in the first place. Anyway, I mean, that to me seems pretty obvious. But no, I'm just going to go to the down floor and make her try to follow me or whatever. Just, they say, oh, nobody, even they said, I think after the fact, nobody died. Like, well, are you really sure? Could have been somebody in a, I mean, I don't know why they'd be in a janitor closet, but maybe it was a janitor. The more I think about it, the more that gets silly and kind of sad I get. But, oh goodness. I don't know. But other than that, and the fourth act I've mentioned earlier, the ending just went weird. The inconsistencies there. I did like the characters. This movie's good enough. I want to rewrite the ending just to make it just a little bit better, just a little more consistent. Like maybe make him not be a serial killer. Maybe there is that tragic previous thing with sister or whatever. Still, I almost feel like I'm not digging into the details of how the screenwriters, whoever wrote this, because and that's also a problem with kind of the plot too. If you really want to get down to it, if it wants to analyze why they made the choices they did, you're going into the meta plot instead of the plot itself, and all of that. But I'm saying all this. I'm skipping out, talking about what we're talking about. Yeah, I don't know. It's that time of night that I get a little bit random anyway. So, this next person, KG5BGW.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Do any of the other people that are listening, just monitoring, want to make any comments at this time, or are there any late check-ins? We're talking about the 2017 movie Radius. This is N5BB, Afterglow Net Control, looking for comments from others. Nothing heard, so I'll go and talk about the plot. This is N5BB, Afterglow Net Control. Excuse me, I'll talk about the characters I meant. The weird thing about this movie, it's like there's a plot feature which involves the characterization, which has been used a number of times in stories and made into movies. And that's amnesia. So, with that technique, you can take a very evil person and let them be exposed to other things and see what goes on. Or you can take a very nice person and usually what happens is it's an evil person that after the amnesia doesn't realize they're evil and does nice. That kind of would assume that their history made them evil. In other words, in that sense, evil would not be a innate property, but would be something from your experience or something. But there's other movies where the amnesia is just used so the person can be a blank slate. And usually on these movies, the person loses, they forget who they are and where they came from, and and most of their personal experiences, but they still know how to open a door and open a can and do and they know how to speak and all those kind of things. And there are some cases of amnesia, it's very rare, but there are some cases of amnesia that are kind of like that, where the id, kind of is lost, but some of the experiences are not all, some of them are kept. The one thing that really kind of bothered me about this movie on that is when they started having flashbacks, when the memories started coming back, both to Liam and to Rose/Jane, they seemed to come back about the same time for no reason. So Jane had these memories of Liam kind of trying to abduct her in his vehicle about the same time that Liam had these flashbacks. By the way, Tom, if you haven't seen the part of the movie where Jane/Rose finds the notebook in the bottom of the stove in the cabin, you need to go back and look at that part of the movie, because that completely changes the movie. That and her flashbacks from that make the whole movie different after that. So another weird thing, the people doing this movie use, again, the plot technique of discovered information, which completely changes how you view the characters. And in this case, it was suddenly discovering that Liam was a serial killer, which I did not suspect, and I don't think anybody else did before that point. We had no idea. He didn't know why this other woman was in his vehicle, but there's no reason to suspect that he was a serial killer before that point. So I don't know. But so the characters kind of were Jekyll and Hyde kind of characters. They have the state they were in before this big extraterrestrial event, and they had the amnesia, and the state afterward. Anyway, kind of hard to analyze because the characters aren't constant. There's two different aspects to them, completely different in 5BB. The only other moderately well-developed character was Sam, who was Rose's husband. And you got to know a little bit about him. He was teed off by the whole thing, as probably he should be. But you found out that he got angry and essentially had blown up enough before this amnesia that Rose had taken off for a while, so he was probably a bit responsible for her wanting to distance herself from him. His kind of angry attitude. So I thought his characterization was reasonable, made sense, was consistent. Of course, for Liam and Rose, it's kind of hard to talk about consistency, since after this special event, things were totally different than before it. And after the discovered information about his being a serial killer, that changed their attitude completely, their characterization, their characters, really. So anyway, the police did pretty much what the police did. Near the end of the movie, the bad locals that follow them and go, or they're going to shoot them up. They're country hicks, and they're over the top. I mean, one of them's going to kill one of them just to do it, and one of the other guys said, "Do you really want to do that?" To me, that's, typecasting. Very stereo case. And of course, as far as a morality thing, of course, Liam had to do the only thing he could do, really, walk further away from Rose so they would die. Anyway. But the bad guys were very, 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 very bad. Okay. I think that's all. Now, we've asked for more check-ins and got none. There's no more things on Echolink. JJ came out on Echolink. He had not seen the movie, and so he left. So now let's go to miscellaneous. Anything else you want to say about this movie? It's not quite 11:30, so we're not completely out of time. You'll make any other comments about it? Special effects, there were a few. Music, directing. Anything else you want to say about the where it was filmed? It was Canadian film, by the way. Anything else you want to say about the movie? Feel free to do it. So let's start again with Tony, NT5TM. Your last thoughts, Tony. This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
Well, I do have many thoughts, but I am out of thoughts about the movie. I'd like to thank everyone else for sharing their comments, and thank you, Bill, for being net control. And thank you, Tom and Brenda and JJ and, darn it, I'm forgetting somebody. VZW. Jay, not JJ, Jay. Jay near Weatherford. So thank you, everybody. NT5TM.
Yes, I don't think we would confuse Jay and JJ. Very good, Tony. Now let's go to Brenda. Brenda, any last comments? This is N5BB, Afterglow Net.
This is WB5OZL. Well, this movie has made me think a lot as I try to figure it out. I think that's maybe one good thing. It got really good marks from critics and viewers, which was a little surprising, given that it's kind of annoying people because, it breaks a lot of the rules for storytelling. You're rocking along and suddenly they change the story. And generally we don't like that. You want some consistency so that you can understand it. Well, I know a lot of movies do that, but this one really, really did it. And to me that's faintly annoying. But here's this guy, he's a nice guy, and suddenly he's a serial killer. So, what else? Music, I didn't even notice the music or special effects. Wasn't much going on there. The story was the thing. It was a fascinating story, though. I'll say that. So, trying to understand it was part of the entertainment. And I wish it had a better ending, but I don't know what else you could do with it. A lot of times, once you go down this path, there's no getting off it, and you are committed, and that may have been what they did here. Back to net, WB50ZL.
Thanks, Brenda. Now let's go to Tom, KE5ICX. Last thoughts, Tom, N5BB, net control.
Thanks, Bill. Well, I don't have any real additional comments. Apparently, I better go back and watch the last 20 minutes of this film because I think I missed most of it as we discussed. But All right, I'll give it another chance. I was looking through all the reviews. People gave it some pretty good reviews and said it was a decent film and, you know, kind of a B plus type of thing. So maybe I'll give it a second chance. I know that the shock value is over. We can't do anything about that, but might be worth it. That's it, Bill. That's all I got. KE5I6.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have any other comments before I make my comments, my final ones, from anyone else listening or any late check-ins? This is the Afterglow Movie Net talking about Radius, a 2017 film. This is N5BB Net Control. Any last other people want to make any comments?
N5SQA.
Oh, Ron. Oh, I forgot Jay, by the way. But go ahead, Ron. You make your comments. Then I forgot Jay. I'll go to him. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, as I pointed out before, I did not see the movie. Nothing I heard here makes me want to see it. The person that I probably agree with the most is Jay. I did see a movie tonight, a recent thing called Army of the Dead, and my 5-word review is, it's about parental love, and I like the soundtrack. N5SQA.
Thanks, Ron. Jay, I'm sorry. I nearly forgot you. Do you have any final comments, Jay? KG5BZW. This is N5BB.
Thanks, Bill. It's KG5BZW. I don't really have much to say, so it being kind of almost skipped. It's nice seeing this film directly out of Manitoba, Canada. Just, I really didn't even know they had why wouldn't they have a film industry? I don't know, but I guess either that or, I don't know, Vancouver, wherever. It just occurred to me, I don't think about Canada that much. So I don't know all the states besides the few I can mention. And I'm now just rambling on about stuff that's not even movie related. It was a cheap, for as cheap as it probably was made, it did all right. I can't complain. The plot issues and all. I'm not going to complain about the time spent watching it. Just wish it was good, been a little bit better. KG5BZW.
Okay, thank you, Jay. There are, Canada's had a film industry since films were first developed. And there's not too many films that are like Oscar winners, I don't believe. But there's a lot of other films, both in English and in French, along the, and documentaries also, that come from Canada. So, no, there's a lot of stuff from Canada. Anyway, so my last comments here, since I'm on the end, is what bothers me is that the movie makers cheated in a big way on this movie, I think, compared to any other movie we've seen. How did they cheat? Well, they use these plot devices that are unexplained, and they're not really very well, they're not explained, and they're very abnormal. They're not natural phenomena or man-made phenomena. They're different. I mean, this way that people die when they get within 50 feet of him, when he's not near her, has no easy way you can explain it, even in a supernatural way or a scientific way. It doesn't, there's nothing else you can relate to it. So in other words, it's a made-up plot device. Maybe it's a MacGuffin, but it's a made-up plot device which is just outside of our experience or any other movies you've ever seen. And then they use some other plot devices like the amnesia that are well-known ones. But, I don't know. It's like they cheated. That's what I think. So they didn't have to do the hard work. And because of the way they explained everything, they didn't need to have hardly any special effects. At one point, they show something supposedly from a NASA satellite or ISS or something with an image of this bolt of lightning-looking thing coming from interstellar space and going down to somewhere in the northeast U.S. But that was easy to produce. And then they show these people just falling down and their eyes turning kind of gray. Well, that was also pretty easy. The people didn't even have to flail their arms or yell or scream. They just collapsed. Pretty easy. And the only other special effect, the vehicle stopping. Well, they just ran the vehicle off the side of the road. That was easy. And they didn't show him actually. They showed some little partial snippets, but they really didn't show him, killing his victims or throwing him overboard into the lake. They kind of did a little bit of preparation for that, but didn't get it very graphically. So they didn't have to do any special effects there. And they had that big black circle. That wasn't much of a special effect. So I'd say special effects, I guess there were some things in there, but didn't require any special work. I mean, high school student could have done all those very easily. Maybe even better. And the music, I didn't notice it. The cinematography, I think it was well filmed in that it seemed to be, the scenes seemed to have good continuity. The sound was good. The things were well lit. I didn't notice any color problems or lighting problems. So, and with the direction, you were from angles that probably made sense on a low budget. So I think about, as far as the film, the technical things about making the film, it was done, okay. Overall, it's just a very odd film. I think the oddest film we've seen. It's hard to put into category. And like I say, I think that the people that made the film did this on purpose. They were trying to make a film that couldn't be characterized. And by golly, they did it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Phoenix. End of the net. Everybody's had a chance to make their... Tom, do you have a movie for next week? This is in 5BB, Afterglow Net Control.
Why, yes, Bill, I do. Everybody, hang on. Here it is. I don't think we've seen this one. Flight that disappeared from 1961. A cross-country airliners whose passengers include a nuclear physicist, a rocket expert, and a mathematical genius is drawn beyond radar range by an unknown, unbreakable force. That's next week's movie. I'll send all the links on that to whomever wants it. You can go to Afterglow Movie, that's 2 words, Afterglow and Movie, on Facebook, or if you want to send me an email. If you're not on the list, I'll send the movie info and links out tomorrow morning. Send it to ke5icx@yahoo.com. That's Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray @yahoo.com. That's it, Bill. KE5ICX.
Okay, thank you, Tom. By the way, I really like, because I'm a Amazon Prime customer, I really like you sending out the Amazon Prime links, because even though sometimes do happen to be some ads even in those, the quality is excellent. And if you move your mouse onto the movie, I know this works in kind of the upper left-hand side of the movie. It shows you the characters that are on the screen, or just went off the screen, or just coming on the screen. It shows their character names, and it shows the actor names. I don't know if you've noticed that, but if you move your mouse I know it works on the kind of the left-hand side of the screen while it's playing, and I don't know if it shows it on any other platform, but I noticed this Amazon Prime does that, and it's really cool if you figure out, what is that character's name? Oh, there it is. What's the actor's name? Oh, there it is. I like that feature. So again, if they're available on Amazon Prime, please keep sending out those links. Okay. So before I close the net, does anybody have any questions? Does everybody get? Excuse me, I was talking to the back of the microphone. Does everybody understand the movie for next week is Flight That Disappeared from 1961? Any questions? Inside BB.
K1GBD, quick question.
Go ahead, Guy.
Well, the description of that movie made me think of Stephen King's story from, I think it's 12 Past Midnight, The Langoliers, and there is a hilarious made-for-TV movie in 2 parts. That is one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite Stephen King movies or stories. And the movie is just hilarious and just right, I think. So I don't know if you ever had that on the list, but I want to toss that out because that sounds right up the alley of the movie late night afterglow movie day.
Okay, were you saying the plot was similar to Radius or Flight That Disappeared?
Well, it sounds kind of like Flight That Disappeared, only in that a ragtag group of unrelated people wake up on a plane and nobody else is there, and they have to figure out, first of all, how to land and then figure out what the heck's going on. So it's kind of similar. It starts on an airplane anyway.
Oh, yeah. There's several movies that have this kind of, or TV, made-for-TV things. In fact, it's a common plot on made-for-TV movies, I think. The people get on the airplane and something happens. Either the world is dying underneath them and they have to keep ahead of the line of death, or they go into a time warp and come back in a different, like they come back during World War II, or the pilots mysteriously die. Something happens in the airplane. You know, you got the plot elements. You got the people in the room. They can't get in or out, and it's just like the murders in the room. You know, it's the fact that they're sealed up in there, and the fact that only certain people can fly the airplane. Anyway, very good. So, any other comments before I close the net? N5BB, Afterglow Net. And I'm officially closing a net at 11:44 p.m. Wow, this is early, and we had plenty of time to talk about it. Good night to everybody. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. The weather has finally turned nice, at least for a few days here, after all that rain. And I hope everybody has a good long weekend. This is N5BB. Good evening. Station calling is far too weak. N5BB.